Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be directly on the computer and I'm going to answer one of those inevitable questions that we all eventually start to ask ourselves. And that is, what is 6/8? 4/4 makes sense. 3/4, yeah, okay. 2/4, yeah. 6/8, But you're not alone. Everyone has that issue with it at some point or another. So today we're gonna break it all down. So hopefully you understand it once and for all, and will be able to use it in your guitar playing and songwriting. Now we're gonna start with the fundamentals, just a review of the fundamentals, which will help to then explain 6/8. So if you are okay with the idea of 4/4 and the subdivision of the beat, breaking them down into the faster notes, then feel free to skip on through. There'll be some time codes in the video or down in the description where you can rejoin us at the 6/8. You ready? Strap yourselves in, let's do this. Here we see a little bit of music and we begin with what we call the clef. This is the treble clef, and that helps to identify how we name the pitches of the notes on the staff. Okay, don't need to worry about that today. We have treble clef, but afterwards we might see we call a key signature, and that is whether we have any sharps or flats in the music. So for example, that would be, we're going to have F sharps in music. All right, that's a key signature. After that, we will see what we call the time signature. 6/8 is an example of a time signature. So how does the time signature work? It consists of two numbers, like a fraction. The top number is how many beats we are counting to each measure or bar. Because in the music, we don't just count into infinity, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of course, you should know, hopefully, that we group the beats into what we call measures or bars. So in 4, we are counting to 4. We have 4 beats to every measure. And the lower of the two numbers, that informs us of what kind of a note will be assigned, will be given 1 beat on the written page. So it's 4 beats and it's some kind of a 4 or a quarter, which we'll get to in just a moment. So phase 1 is that, known as the whole note, or the semi-breve in the UK, or the ronde in French, and it lasts the whole of the measure of 4/4, a whole 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what a whole note rest would look like. The whole note can then be split into 2 faster notes, which we call half notes. Half notes will each last 2 beats and would be played on beats 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The half note can be split into quarter notes. If you think it's like a pie, whole, half, quarter, eighths would follow. We'll get to it. So here are quarter notes. So they look like the half notes, but they're coloured in. They're called noir in French, or we call them crotchets in the UK. Quarter notes is the easiest way to name them, and they last 1 beat. They'd be played on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in that sense, we have arrived at 4/4. We have our 4 beats, and the lower number, the lower 4, then refers to a quarter note. So in each measure, we can have 4 quarter notes, and the measures being defined by the vertical line. So that's 1 measure, that's 2 measures, etc., etc. When this gets more interesting then is when we start splitting the quarter notes, which of course we can do. We can go and make what we call eighth notes. So we've taken those quarter note beats and we've split them into 2 notes. Each of these notes then being worth the value of half a beat. So if we were to play the 8th note, 1, 2, 3, 4. The count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So in 4/4, our quarter note beats can be subdivided or split into 2 8th notes. Brings us to our first fancy term, in that 4/4 is what is known as a simple quadruple time. Simple in the sense that it can simply be cut into 2 8th notes. Each beat is split into 2 8th notes. That is simple time. and quadruple because there are 4 beats to every measure. So 4 beats, which can be split into 2 eighth notes, is a simple quadruple. 4/4 is a simple quadruple time. But of course, there's much more than 4/4. We could do 3/4, for example. We've got some bonus eighth notes. That's what individual eighth notes will look like, but we tend to beam them together. Just get rid of that one. So there, then, we have a measure of 3/4. We've got 3 quarter notes which are being split into their eighths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and like that. 3/4 has 6 eighth notes. So what's the difference between 3/4 and 6/8? On the face of it, nothing is different between 3/4 and 6/8, but 3/4 is an example of simple time. And so those eighth notes, if we were thinking about the beats, those eighth notes would be grouped in 2s. That's where we've just come from. So if I beam those, then we have the 3 beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 6/8, we have 6 eighth notes to every measure, but it's lying to us a little bit. We don't think upon 6/8 as a time signature in which we have 6 beats. We in fact think upon 6/8 as a time signature in which we have 2 beats. We have but 2 beats in 6/8. It is what we call compound duple time. Compound duple. Compound time is a meter in which we have our beat split into not 2 but 3 eighth notes. So if we were to beam these eighth notes in their beats, we can see that we have the beaming, the joining of those notes into the beats, and there are 2 of them. Now Guitar Pro does this a little bit wrong. In fact, 1, that is 6/8. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a... Okay, that's what the eighth notes would look like, how they are beamed together. Now I forgot to mention, at the top of the music we had a marking of a quarter note being 80. The quarter note is 80, is the BPM, the speed of the music. Now when we deal in 6/8, that should not be written as such. That in fact should be written like this. A dotted quarter note is 80. The sense of the 2 beats are clicking at 80 BPM. Why is it a dotted quarter note? Well, because what is a dotted quarter note? We saw that a quarter note was equal to 2/8. Okay, 2/8 equal 1 quarter. So on that basis, we've got the 6/8, we've got a quarter note plus an extra eighth note inside every beat. We've got 3/8. So how do we include that extra eighth note into the quarter? We add a dot, because a dot adds half the note's value to it. It adds 50%. A measure of 6/8 in terms of just the beats would be 2 quarter notes dotted. 2 dotted quarter notes written like that. Okay, so if you see dotted quarter notes in 6/8, then you know that you're playing on the beat. 1, 2. Let's just hear those 2 together. Take that metronome off. 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2, 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2. So that is the crux of 6/8. It is an example of compound time, and in compound time we split each beat into 3 eighth notes. On that basis then we can have what is known as 9/8, which would be 3 beats of 3 eighth notes. We could also have, as we see there, 12/8. Now 12/8 is the equivalent of 4/4, and there are 4 beats, but in each of those beats we have 3 eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So coming over into Logic, I've just got the drummer up and I've loaded in a couple of sort of stock grooves. One is 3/4 and the other is 6/8. So firstly, let's begin with the 3/4 groove and just hear what that sounds like. Count that beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, nice and clear. Compare in contrast 6/8. One, two, 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2. Let's hear those back to back just to really hear the difference. One, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Compound time. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1. Completely different feel. Completely different feel. This is the importance of understanding 6/8 because it gives you something completely different. I was trying to think about the best way to describe them. 3/4, simple time. It is very straight and correct. Like 1 and 2 and 3. It's kind of like a ticking clock. 1 and 2 and 3 and tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Whereas 6/8, this compound meter is lilting. It swings. It's like being in a hammock. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1. And that's what it gives you. That's what the compound meter gives you. This swinging, lilting, shuffling feel. In terms of strumming patterns within 3/4, rules very much follow that of other simple meters like 4/4, is that we would strum on the beat. Let's just give that a go. So down strums on the beat, adding the ups with the 8s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1. Then it allows us to split those into the 16ths, but we're very much in that sense of 3. When you start getting to the 6/8 strumming, the strumming the beat, 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1. Then the 8s, I would just tend to strum the 8s all down. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a. That allows you to then add in some 16th figures. One and a 2. I clammed that wrong. So hopefully you can really hear the difference in those two approaches. The last thing to consider is picking patterns, especially within 6/8. The common approach that we see in classic tunes is sort of a 3 down, 3 up approach. So you're picking the 3 notes of each beat in a sort of down, 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 up, up. Alternating the bass as an example. Let's just chuck that in there. That's a great first picking pattern for you in the 6/8. So adopting the 3 down, 3 up would be a great one to get you started. So that there is 6/8 in a nutshell. It is an example of a compound duple meter in which we have 2 beats to every measure, but within those 2 beats we can find 3 eighth notes. So if you want your compositions to have that floating, lilting, swinging feel, definitely try 6/8. Thank you so much for staying with me. If you're still here, if you did enjoy the video, hopefully you did, please don't forget a thumbs up and do consider subscribing if you're new to the channel, remembering as you do so to ring that bell. I will look to add some lesson notes and tabs to all members of my Patreon group. You can join us over there and help support my work for as little as $3 per month. Find out more with the link down below or in the cards. If you're still left with some questions, please do put them into the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Thank you so much. You practice well, enjoy 6/8, and I'll see you again soon.